So Kelly, we got fired today, didn't we?
I heard about that.
Yeah, that was unique. Would you talk a little bit about that rare occasion where that occurs, and specifically in that case, would you talk about what the rationale was behind their idea to move forward with that direction?
I will. Let me start out by saying that in life, we all tend to want to talk about our successes and nobody wants to talk about their failures.
Sure.
But we've had plenty over the 35 years that I've been in the business. And we had a electronic notification this morning that a client of a little less than 2 years had elected to transfer their account. This lady is a public school teacher in Kentucky, and she had inherited a significant amount of money from her father, who was a well-known media personality in Central Kentucky and a good friend of mine, former Air Force member as well. And you and I had tried to make sure we had an opportunity to sit down with her and do what we always do with every client, annual reviews of performance, etc. Her performance was superb.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it was about 12.5% net return over the last 3 years annualized. So she was in the 38, 39% total return range. Her returns equaled or exceeded the indices during that time. But we never were able to get her to come in to actually review her performance or understand it. So at that point, you and I sat down, got some data together, and gave her a call.
And so when you shared with her what those performance numbers were, what was the reaction?
Well, you and I had found out she was going to a wirehouse brokerage firm. And anytime you go from a fiduciary advisor whose emphasis is on performance and net returns to clients and lowest possible cost, to a stock brokerage firm or an insurance company for investment management, I think in general you've got issues that arise. Those issues pertain to inherent conflicts in non-fiduciary investment advising. You know, sales contests to generate certain numbers for certain products, trip awards, quotas, etc. Things that legally we can't and won't do that are standard rules of operating procedure in those places. The specific firm she was going to had well over 1,000 regulatory incidents, punishments, arbitrations, mediations, huge settlements. So when we sent her a quick letter and got her on the phone, her reaction was that she didn't really care about the performance. She said she recognized that our performance was better than where they were going, but that it didn't matter because she and her husband didn't like our values. As a matter of fact, she said that her husband wouldn't even, quote, give me the time of day, unquote. And she referred to religious values as an especial problem.
And our firm is very well established with that. Would you share a little bit about our values and what we think is important, in addition to performance and obviously the client coming first? What else could you share with us?
Part of a Spectrum Financial Alliance's DNA is that we're going to do things correctly by the client. We don't do things that are intended to give us an advantage. 100% of any advantage is going to go to our clients. But we are people of faith. We believe deeply in our faith. And we believe that following the rules of the road that are expressed in the Bible are one of the ways that people end up successful and happy and healthy in life.
Yeah.
And we don't walk away from our faith when we engage in business. We also don't use our faith to produce business. We are supporters of our Constitution. We are believers that the framers of the United States Constitution were probably the most intelligent generation in American history and created a living, breathing document that has kept freedom alive in this country for over 250 years. And we also support the Blue. We support our law enforcement. We support our military. We care about our kids and their educations. One of the things, Eric, that was most disturbing to me is this particular individual is a public school math teacher. And this math teacher told me that the numbers didn't matter. And I think that tells us a lot about problems
And we know
in that field.
the numbers do matter.
They definitely
They make a
matter.
big difference in the long run. So tell us who's a good fit for a SFA client.
I think that's a really good segue into probably the most important message here, and that is we're not going to be right for everybody.
It's true.
Our firm is right for people who care about performance. It's right for people who care about minimizing their costs. It's right for people who understand that proven professional advice, and as you know, we advertise ours.
Yes.
Our performance.
Proudly.
Very proudly. Proven professional advice is worth a lot to our clients. And so we feel we're best fit for people who believe in the inherent dignity of the American people, in a strong work ethic, in America being the greatest and the most exceptional country in the world by far, and people that want advisors that not only care deeply about the quality of their work, they care deeply about the results to their clients.
Okay. So that's very important. Share a little bit with our audience about our investment philosophy and how you actually manage assets.
It's unique. You know, as you and I sit here, there's a certificate on the wall to my right.
Yeah, there is.
And that was my first stock buy, and it was 52 years ago.
Just a couple little bit of years.
Yeah. I've been in this business professionally for 36 years. I enjoy it more now than I ever did. I feel like the more you learn and you grow in the industry, and the more you stay in the books and on the numbers, that enhances performance, and that's what we've seen certainly in the last 20 or so years. So our philosophy has been generated over decades of experience, and also decades of being my harshest critic, my own harshest critic, because I hate making mistakes, and Lord knows I've made plenty of them.
As have we all, right?
Yes, that's right. But we utilize a very unique, concentrated and predictive style. We don't own the market at any time. A good example of why, for example, we didn't have any bond components last year in 2022 is, as we predicted in November of 2021 in writing and client communications and social media posts, interest rates rose remarkably last year. Not just due to Fed action, Federal Reserve Bank action with the Fed funds and the discount rate, but also due to inflation taking off and affecting longer term securities that the Fed doesn't have control over as well. That resulted in the bellwether of all bonds, the 10-year Treasury, declining 15.32%.
Wow. And hurt a lot of people out there.
A lot of folks. So that's an example of why you don't always want to own everything. You don't want to own bonds all the time. Sometimes you don't want to own equities.
Okay.
So right now we are utilizing equities because we're eclectic, and that's where the money is being made and will be made, in our view, in the next 2 to 3 years. And we concentrate our holdings by utilizing positions that might be at a minimum 5% to 3%, and at a maximum generally 10 to 15%
Wow.
of an individual's portfolio. That's a concentrated portfolio.
Sure.
The things we're buying, the companies we're buying, because we don't own managed products, mutual funds, things that are built simply to generate additional costs.
All of those internal costs
That's
that
right.
are debilitating for long-term returns.
And detract from those returns.
Yeah.
So we're buying things that we believe in, that we understand, whose products, services, management, history, we have great appreciation for. We're a predictive style, and
Unpack that a little bit, if you don't mind.
I will. So predictive style, that doesn't mean we have an ESP, because we don't. But it does mean that we try to put our clients' money in front of events that we believe are going to affect certain sectors, certain industries, and certain companies.
Okay.
I've always said I've got to have at least 3 synergistic reasons to own any individual equity.
Got it.
And, you know, if I'm wrong on one and we're correct on the other 2, that's going to be a difference maker.
Sure.
That philosophy has created a track record that we're very proud of and that we continue to build on.
Wow. That's great insight, and I think really differentiates us versus other, advisors or brokers, again, who are not true fiduciaries. And you're right, results matter.
They do. So Eric, we kind of started this conversation off with a discussion of getting fired again. And no one likes to be fired.
No,
you just try and learn what you can take from it. I think you and I agreed when we discussed this morning after talking to that former client that what we learned from it is you're not going to be a fit for everybody.
Correct.
But we believe we're a fit for people who are looking for exceptional drive and performance, for people who want to work with a sole fiduciary advisor, not firms that generate commissions, back-end loads, surrender charges. We're a firm that is looking for people who need help in their financial planning, and we insist on performance and exceptional help in that regard as well. So I want to wrap this up by saying that if you're out there thinking about working with your advisor differently, if your performance is not reviewed annually at no additional cost, if your costs are higher, you don't know what your costs are, or you don't know how your performance compares with the markets, or you'd like to stack it up against what we have provably done, we'd love to talk to you. Please feel free to call us at 859-223-6333. And at the bottom of your screen, you'll see our other contact information. God bless.